Hey, what's up, folks? Today I want to talk about the 2022 real estate market and what I think is going to happen. Now, for the sake of this video, it's going to be predominantly Texas, more so North Texas, because that's where I sell the most amount of homes at. And also, I'm sure some people are going to wonder why I have a hat on today. Well, it's because I have a huge pimple on my forehead, and these 4K videos pick up basically everything. But in this video, I want to hit really three pillars, three things that I'm looking at to determine what I think the market is going to do over the next year. Now, the first one's going to be the interest rates, and by the way, no particular order, but the first one's going to be interest rates. The second one's going to be the number of people coming to Texas, and the last one's going to be the inventory. But basically, if you just want to watch a short version of this video, I don't think almost anything besides something completely unexpected to happen that's going to affect the housing market in Texas for 2022. So basically, if you're waiting for that, bubble to pop, I just don't foresee it happening in 2022. And here's the reasons why. So let's start out with interest rates. Now, the Fed's recently said that they're going to raise the interest rates here soon. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly what that's going to do to the consumer side, right? Just because the Fed's increase the interest rate does not always equal that the interest rates are going to go up super duper high on people trying to get mortgages. And it also potentially sets up an opportunity for some people, and we're going to save that for another video. But, if you have, let's say, a 2% interest rate, that can be a selling proposition for you when you go to sell. But we're not going to talk about that today. Now, the interest rates went up not too long ago, if people remember. Back in 2018, if you were in the market then, you might have heard a lot of news channels and a lot of professionals saying that the bubble was about to pop. In fact, I did a video about that back in 2018, and I explained why I didn't see it coming. I don't know where these experts were getting this information because what I saw did not support a bubble being popped. And I know I'm just some guy that lives in Texas and I'm not quote unquote a professional in that aspect, but my predictions were way more accurate than most of those professionals on CNN and NBC and other news channels. They were really, 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 really wrong. So, anyways, we did start to see inventory tick up, right? And I had some clients that I was working with, and I told them, I said, don't worry, this is just a seasonal tick up. A lot of times after September, you'll see supply start to build up. And then after Thanksgiving, a lot of times the homes will sell, which is interesting because a lot of people think that that's a bad time to sell. That's not the case. Also, at that time, the feds did notice that everything was ticking up, and they're like, oh, we don't want to crash the market, the real estate market. So they did start to bring the interest rates down. And that happened right around Thanksgiving in 2018. And relatively quickly, the inventory was sucked up. 2019 was still a good time to buy, though. But a lot of people were so nervous that there was going to be another real estate crash, and it just wasn't the case. And everybody keeps basing it off of 2008. And later on in the video, I'll go into more detail of why I don't believe you can look at 2008 and really judge any other market based off of 2008. Another aspect of these interest rates for Texas, I don't think it's going to be a huge contributing factor to home prices plateauing or decreasing, because a lot of the folks that I'm seeing putting offers on my listings and buyers that I'm working with, they're either a cash buyer or they're putting really big down payments down. For instance, I just wrote an offer a couple days ago for $650, and the folks were putting 50% down. Now, let's just say their 3.25% interest rate goes up to 4.25. Yeah, that sucks. It's a pain. Obviously, who wouldn't want to get 3.25 versus 4.25? But it's not going to kill the deal. Like, those folks can afford that, and they still want to buy a home, and they're still going to move forward with the transaction, if that makes sense. And a lot of buyers are cash buyers, right? It's still a good time to sell. I'm sorry, it's still a good time to buy. It is a good time to sell too. But I'm not one of those real estate agents that's telling you one thing and then doing another. I'm actually about to execute a contract on a rental property myself. I think it is a very good time to buy real estate in Texas. Now, that is going to lead us into number two. So number two is going to be just the sheer number of buyers coming to Texas. Now, this part's a little bit strange because let's use California, for example. There's so many people leaving California. Last I heard, there were more people leaving California than were going into California. But when I talk to my friends in California, whether it's, just people that live there or agents that I'm friends with, they're talking about their real estate market is bananas. They put a home up and it sells right away. Well, those people come to Texas, and then that kind of leads me back to what we talked about the interest rates. Those folks are selling homes for pretty good money, and then they're coming here and buying a home with cash or large down payments. Now, there's two things though I do want to keep an eye on. I don't know exactly what these would do, and it's a little bit about talking about politics. Now, I don't care who you voted for. I truly don't. As long as you're nice to me, we are good to go. But you do have to look at the political aspect of people coming to Texas. When I'm doing open houses or buyer consultations with folks, it always comes up. The vast majority of people that are coming here from different states are leaving because they don't like the way the politics are being run or the taxes or things of that nature. So let's just say, hypothetically, tomorrow California comes up and says, hey, you know what? We're going to follow in the footsteps of Texas and Florida. You'd probably see a slowdown of people coming to Texas. Like, California's beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want to live there? Except for, what I just mentioned. So, oh, and by the way, you come into Texas, just remember why you came here. It's kind of nice. Don't jack it up. Anyways, so with that being said, let's just say California started replicating Florida and Texas. I think you would see a slowdown of folks coming to Texas. However, a lot of people have already put the gears in motion. So I think they would still move here. Now, on the other side of that coin, which is probably very unlikely, but who knows nowadays, let's say Texas comes out and they said, hey, you know what? We're going to duplicate what California is doing. Once again, so many people have put the gears in motion that I still think you would see a lot of people move here. It would slow it down quite a bit, but I still think you would see a lot of folks continue to move here, and the values through 2022 would continue to go up. Now, let's talk about the third thing and the last part of this video. So the third one is going to be inventory, right? So interest rates, people moving here, this all affects inventory. Now, the big thing what I'm seeing right now is still to this day, a lot of folks are saying we're in a bubble. Now, there's a few reasons why I don't think we're in a bubble. And part of that is because of the low interest rate. I'm sorry, not the low interest rate, the low inventory. Now, I was a real estate agent back in 2008. Now, going into 2008, North Texas, depending on what area you were looking at, you were sitting at about 3 to 4 months supply, right? So you're kind of right on the edge of a neutral market, which could kind of lead into a buyer's market. And when you're in a buyer's market, that's usually when the value goes down because the buyer has more power. Seller's market, the seller has the power, values go up. So it didn't take a lot to tip that to a buyer's market. Right now, most of North Texas is sitting at a month or less supply. I mean, homes, the inventory is crazy low. So we have room for things to happen to where inventory could still kind of tick up and the values are still going to go up. Let's say interest rates go up to 5.5, right? People are still going to buy. There's still going to be those cash buyers and stuff. Inventory might tick up to 2 months, might tick up to 3 months, maybe 3.5 months, but it's not going to happen overnight, right? So those are some of the things I want to look at. Right now, we're at super low inventory. Now, here's another thing to kind of address the whole bubble talk that everybody's talking about. Looking back at 2008, there were people getting loans back then. If you remember, they were called 80/20s, right? Some people got ARMs too, but let's really focus on these 80/20 loans. So nowadays, you cannot finance your down payment. So if you want to get a loan and you want to put 20% down, which is nice because it's going to give you a little bit better interest rate and you don't have to pay your PMI. And I know in the comments or somebody's going to say somewhere, well, yeah, Chris, you can pay your PMI up front. Yeah, I know, but for the sake of the video, just follow along with me here. So in 2008, people can get an 80/20. So you can get an 80% loan and then you can get another loan for 20%. You got 100% financing there. And then if something happened where somebody had to sell, well, they had no equity. Nowadays, when people are buying a home, most of the folks are putting decent down payments down. Not everybody's doing 20%, but I am seeing more and more people put 20% down or 10% down on, or if the home appraises low, a lot of times the buyers are covering the difference. So let's say those folks, something happens, let's just say 2023, things happen and folks have to sell their home. Well, if you bought a home and you put 20% down and your appraisal was too high and you covered the difference, you got some wiggle room. You could sell. Back in 2008, I was doing short sales because people got an 80-20, remember, 80% of a loan, then they got a 20% loan, put it together for 100% financing, and they had no room because the market had dropped. So when you figure in closing costs and everything, they had no room. So they had to do a short sale or get foreclosed on. That's not going to happen. I mean, the market would really have to tank for people to have to be in that position because they put so much money down and they're covering the difference. That's the biggest reason why I don't think we're going to be in a situation to where you're going to see enough negative value in homes to where people are going to be upside down and lose their butts like they did in 2008. Now, that's kind of my prediction. I wouldn't stress too much about it. The next video I want to do, I do want to give you some hope though, because I do think this craziness has an end. I don't know exactly when, but it will reach a point where this market will plateau. The values are going to continue to go up, but it will plateau, and then you'll be able to start to see, more of your traditional people be able to buy homes. People with contingent offers, people that only have maybe 5% down or things of that nature. I do think that will happen, but right now it's kind of bananas. And with all the stuff I just mentioned, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But I'm telling you right now, if you're waiting for the market to quote unquote crash, I think you're going to be waiting a while. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful. And if you need any help in North Texas, either buying or selling, I sure like to help you.